false statement to law enforcement. So they're going to be very careful with anything they say to law enforcement. We also don't know what the FBI has told them. We don't know if the FBI has told them to take a step back, don't do anything, let law enforcement handle this, let law enforcement look for your son. But obviously, in this circumstance, as a person, as human beings, we have questions. From a legal perspective, it's in their best legal interest to stay back, let law enforcement do their job, and invoke, especially considering where they're at, continue their silence.
Engaging a new digital audience here live on WFLA Now. Again, live here with attorneys Bryant Camareno, Anthony Rickman, right here in the Tampa Bay area. Of course, measurable experience here as far as criminal law here in Tampa Bay. And, of course, also having Ken Stevens joining us from Pinellas County here, folks, bringing his 30 opinion, in your opinion here, what is the likelihood that they do have other charges just ready to go for Brian Laundrie once they do locate him, that they're just not ready to fully tell the public here at this time?
Well, when a federal investigation is occurring in the background, the federal government doesn't broadcast what they're doing. We know in this particular case that an autopsy was conducted. We know that they've gone back to the house after that autopsy. We know Brian's been named a person of interest. And quite frankly, in the federal system, he may be much more than that. What we do know is the federal government has decided to charge Brian with a crime that they feel they can prove at this current time. And that's use of her credit card without her permission and as an authorized use of her credit card. What this charge allows the federal government to do is to take him into custody and hold him in custody. Knowing now that he's an extreme flight risk, there's a pending charge. We know he's on the run. We know no one can locate him. When and if he is picked up, this charge will allow law enforcement to hold him, most likely without bond, be transported to Wyoming to answer those charges. While this federal case is pending now, law enforcement, federal authorities, the FBI, local law enforcement in Wyoming, Utah, they can still conduct their investigation in the background. Wait for the results of that autopsy. See if there's any direct evidence linking Brian to the body. See if there's any evidence around the body. And then ultimately, if either state or federal officials determine that enough evidence exists to charge him, then he'll be charged. But again, he doesn't have to be named a suspect, a person of interest. The government can arrest him. There may be a grand jury seated right now for a potential indictment. We don't know these things. And at the end of the day, we do know at least one charge has been filed against him, and that's going to allow the government to hold him while they conduct additional investigations.
Anthony, I'm glad you brought up the potential for there being the grand jury getting involved here. We're going to come back to that in a little while here. Brian, I'm going to ask you have, of course, you can respond to the same question for Ashley, but I'm also going to throw up this one here because we want to get as many comments here going in the Facebook Live and YouTube Live and Twitter comment section here. Stephanie, #KJB, why have an attorney if you're missing or possibly deceased? And I just want to jump off of this comment here from Stephanie here and ask you about Brian Laundrie having an attorney so early on here. Brian, of course, returning home on September 1st and having an attorney almost immediately. What do you make of that, of course, with all of the many cases that you've represented? What do you make of him having an attorney so early on, before he was deemed missing, before he was named a person of interest, just him returning back to Florida in Gabby's van?
You know, many people don't want to hear this, but it was a smart move. I mean, you know, I can just jump on the last question real quick. It seems to me that there's not enough probable cause to arrest him at this point for the death. We're still waiting for the results. We're still waiting for the cause of death. We know, I think it was homicide at least. So on the one hand, I think they had enough probable cause to issue this federal charge, to hold him, as Anthony pointed out, and maybe interview him and maybe get a confession from him. But the absence of an arrest warrant for the murder or the homicide of Gabby speaks volumes again. So, but in terms of him getting a lawyer, it's a smart move. I mean, that's the basic fundamental right that we have, absolute right to remain silent, absolute right to counsel. So, you know, again, lay people may look at it as an admission of guilt. I think everyone in the world, civil libertarians all over the world, would agree he had that right. Let him exercise that right. Doesn't look good, but it's a constitutional right. And so, you know, at this point, what do I make of it? That it was a smart move. But does it mean anything else? I don't want to be in that position to assume that it means that he's guilty of something when he may not be guilty.
I want to get each of your 2 cents on this very quickly. We were noting on stream that Stephen Bertolino, the attorney for Brian Laundrie, that being the attorney in New York, who's been, of course, we've been talking about him at the center of this as far as representing his client. He has been communicating with members of the media via text message a lot. And it hasn't been the copy and paste sort of responses. Bryant, Anthony, I know that you guys deal with the media. I know that you deal with us and on our side of this equation here. When you respond, are you responding to individual reporters with individual questions? Or if somebody has an inquiry, are you copying and pasting text messages here? Because Bridget Riley here, #AJB, is it normal for an attorney to communicate through the media solely by text messages? Would there be a reason why we haven't seen Stephen Bertolino over the last few weeks? I'll ask you guys to chime in this really quickly because we're about to play the Utah video here.
I was going to say real quick, I've done that because maybe just there's not enough time. But secondly, it avoids the press asking me that one question too many that could potentially look badly upon my client. So I've done it. Mr. Bertolini may be doing it for the same reason because there's just no time. or he could be limiting the response to avoid any question that he can't ethically answer.
Yeah, as Brian said, you're controlling the medium by participating in a text message this way. There's cases where you give a blanket text to every media station across the country, but there are cases where you want to respond specifically to a specific question. But by doing it in text, you don't have the follow-up question. You can't say that word, no comment. As a lawyer, I hate saying no comment. By giving a quick, simple comment via text, you're allowed to control the dialogue, control your comment, and then move on to something else. The attorney also has to be careful because every time he answers, it seems like there's an additional question, there's an additional follow-up, and sometimes an attorney wants to communicate a little too much, may not be doing what's in his best interest of his client. So, his attorney needs to be careful in his responses, especially considering that his clients have talked to the FBI. We don't know what they told him. He doesn't want to be in a position where he's essentially contradicting what his clients may have said or contradicting the evidence that the FBI may have because he doesn't know.
I'm going to hold these guys to their pledge, especially Anthony there, to the pledge of no comment. The next time that I need a response on a story, I'm gonna play back this clip here for you. I have it now, folks. Let's get now to the Utah video. The police encounter there in Utah has of course been dissected, but now we have a new body camera angle. It's of course considerably long. We're going to play back some moments here over the course of that here, and then Ken, I would like to hear kind of your perspective here and as far as the police response here and how they handled this situation here in Utah. And then Anthony and Bryant, well, what I'm going to ask the two of you to do, because they make reference here. Now, we're not experts in Utah law. We're, of course, all here in Florida, but they do make reference to what they are and are not allowed to do as far as handling the situation on the side of the road. They're in the field. So I'm going to ask you for all your perspectives, but this is a 3-minute snippet clip of some of the moments of this new Utah video. We'll come back in 3 minutes and continue the conversation. In the meantime, I'll be looking for more of your hashtag HeyJB or other hashtag hashtag HeyKen, hashtag HeyAnthony, hashtag HeyBryant. I'll be looking for your hashtag comments here in the Facebook Live, Twitter, and YouTube Live comment section here, and we'll bring them in here on WFLA Now. Let's listen in now. This is, again, 3 minutes from the Utah video, the new one of the new body camera angle.
How's it going?
How are you doing?
Good. Hey, we got a call about a male hitting a female and the two of them getting in this vehicle and taking off.
So I don't want to try and defend myself by saying anything here, but I pushed her away. She gets really worked up, and when she does, she swings and she had her cell phone in her hand. So I was just trying to push her away. But Gabrielle, you're talking about fiance, right? What's that?
Is there something on your cheek here? Looks like did you get hit in the face? Kind of looks like something like hit you in the face. And then over on your arm, shoulder, right here. That's new, huh? It's kind of a new mark.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Can I see the other side of your face? So, what happened here and here?
I'm not sure. It was a. I was just trying to get in the back of the car and his backpack was on the back. And got me.
So the backpack got you? So there's two people that came to us and told us that they saw him hit you. There's two people saying that they saw him punch you. We're just independent witnesses by Moonflower.
Well, to be honest, I definitely hit him first.
Where'd you hit him?
I slapped him.
You slapped him first? And then just on his face?
You get to kind of just shut up.
How many times did you slap him?
Just a couple.
And then what? And then his reaction was to do what?
I hung around so I forget this happened.
He just grabbed you?
Yeah.
Did he hit you though? I mean, it's okay if you're saying you hit him, and then I understand if he hit you, but we want to know the truth if he actually hit you.
I guess, yeah, but I hit him first.
Where did he hit you? Don't worry, just be
honest.
honest.
He grabbed my face, like, I guess. He didn't hit me in the face, like he didn't punch me in the face or anything.
Did he slap your face or what?
Well, he grabbed me with his nail, and I guess that's why it looks. I definitely have a cut right here. I could feel it.
Yeah.
When I touch it, it burns.
One of the things that the state legislature doesn't give us discretion on is charges when it comes to a domestic assault. And it sounds like you guys are living together, so you meet the statute for domestic partners, and you do have injury, and both an independent witness, probably the next one we're going to talk to as well, which we haven't talked to yet, but the one we did talk to, and your own companion have made it clear that she was the primary aggressor and that she was striking you and that you received injuries. You haven't admitted to striking her. She has not admitted to you striking her. The witness did not see you strike her. So at this point, you're the victim of a domestic assault. That even if you didn't want to pursue this, we don't have a choice. The best thing we could do to not, the law says we have to charge her. It doesn't say we have to put her in jail. Okay, but it also says we have to separate, do a no contact order, and then we have to put her in jail if we cannot separate. And there's a little problem here. Is you guys are out of Florida living in the van together. How are we supposed to separate you guys? Now I don't want to take this small 20. What is she?
Yes, a 22-year-old
female in jail.
jail.
That you could definitely defend yourself against, but at the same time, we can't say because you're a male and she's a female, we can't treat this different than if you were the male hitting her.
Back here with you live on WFLA Now here, and let's bring in just one of the immediate responses here to that. And there's been a variety of different responses to this video here online. Terry #AJB saying Moab City Police Department video clearly shows that Gabby was upset. Brian, on the other hand, is seen smiling and joking. We see that the very clearly here we have two different demeanors here between what Gabby's body language is like, clearly distraught, and what Brian's body language is like. People have been combing through this here. Ken, first and foremost, I just want to ask you, we've seen this video now. This is just another angle of the same encounter here. I just want to ask you for your response here to what you think as far as how the officers in Utah handled this. And again, we preface this by saying that the domestic violence cases, we know from speaking to other experts, can be extraordinarily complicated. We're not experts here in Utah law, but what do you make here of this video and what you just watched?
Well, I briefly read the Utah statute, and I don't claim to be an expert in it, but difference between the Utah statute and Florida statute. Florida has a preferred arrest policy, and Utah statute uses the terms that you shall arrest under certain circumstances. You're not supposed to arrest both parties. You're supposed to identify a primary aggressor, which they were discussing in this investigation. And I would like to have heard more about what the witnesses said. Was witness testimony reliable? The demeanor of both of them certainly speaks a lot. I don't like the demeanor that I see from him, but a person who's nervous can react in a lot of different ways, and that's something that you have to allow the officers to be able to assess. Again, I think there's reason to be suspect about the action that was taken. A 3-minute video clip and the total time that they were on scene, you could draw two completely different assessments of what should have been done.
And we have the entire video for you on WFLA.com and the WFLA app. Let's bring in Bryant here. Bryant, at the end of this video, it's not in the snippet, but I watched the video this morning. They were talking about whether or not they were talking about protocol here, and they asked Gabby about whether or not there was intent to inflict bodily harm on again, and a lot of people pointing this out on social media, the officer identifying Brian as the victim here, at least at the side of the road, saying that you're the victim here. Gabby being asked whether or not, she was intentionally there to inflict bodily harm, of course, was part of the protocol here. What do you make here of this ending in their separation here, staying in separate hotel rooms that night, and there not being charges filed here against either of the two individuals involved?
Number one, I think the officers were complying with Wyoming law. I mean, it is what it is. And even though we're not experts on the Wyoming law, I think we know enough about probable cause. And I think here the probable cause established, and again, probable cause is did she probably commit the crime? I think there was enough probable cause to arrest her just based on the limited information that law enforcement had. So the question is, why didn't they arrest her? Now, in a way, I'm kind of glad they didn't, because the poor girl was already victimized enough. But who knows, if she had been arrested, things may have been different. But I think that to criticize the officers because they didn't read the body language is unfair. And I'm not in any way supporting or advocating what happened. But based on what I've seen, the probable cause was that she was the aggressor. They said as much on the audio tape, on the videotape. And she, I think, admits to the phone, and he perhaps allegedly self-defended himself. So at the end of the day, to arrest either one of them based on body language, I think is unfair. But I think that they make the right call in not arresting either one of them and separating them under the circumstances. I think they had to, because again, otherwise they would have arrested her. Who knows? She may have been alive to this day, but we don't know that. But ultimately, I would imagine her family would be suing law enforcement saying, "What the heck are you doing arresting my daughter?" So it's a tough call. Did they make the right one? I don't know in hindsight, but in retrospect, they had to follow the law. The law said separate them and not arrest either one of them. And so, unfortunately, it turned out the way it did. But I don't know if law enforcement would have prevented what happened.
Anthony, do you agree with Brian's assessment there? And then also separately, for everyone out there on social media that is calling on police here in this encounter to be held responsible, held accountable for how they handle, whether or not, again, this is all going to now, there are people saying, of course, that police handled this appropriately and that they went about this the right way. And then there are those that are, of course, extraordinarily critical, as you would imagine, it's social media, extraordinarily critical of allowing this to just end with just a separation at the end of the night. So, Anthony, do you agree with what Bryant just said? And also, too, what kind of ramifications now? Are there potential lawsuits or what? For people that are demanding that this police department be held responsible here or accountable, what can be done?
Yeah, look, it's easy to sit back and armchair quarterback, and say, hey, this should have happened, that should have happened. When you look at what happened in this particular case through the eyes of law enforcement, it was hard to determine who the aggressor was. And from the evidence that they established, the probable cause at that time, it appeared, based on Gabby's own admission and based on what Brian said, that Gabby was the initial aggressor. And had we not had this tragic circumstance that we're dealing with now, it wouldn't be an issue. And if you look further on the video, what law enforcement does at the end of this, they say, look, instead of you going to jail, we have a car here from our safe team. We're a special critical team that was set up from Moab. And through this Moab policy, if this team is available, rather than one party going to jail and having to bond out, this county allowed one person to be separated, placed in a hotel, and the other person to go on their way. And in this particular case, that's what happened. There was a safety net, a secondary safety net that allowed for separation as opposed to arrest. And in a case like this, when you have the alleged victim, and I say alleged, Brian in this particular case, saying he didn't want her arrested, didn't want her prosecuted, she herself saying it was a mutual combatant situation, she obviously doesn't want to go to jail. Law enforcement can't see into the future about what may happen in the future, and they decided to take this route and separate. And if you look at the very end of the video, they do cite Gabby with a citation that would be equivalent to a criminal infraction. And they tell her at the end, because there's no court, you can appear in court via Zoom. So there was action taken, and the action that law enforcement took at that particular time was within the bounds of the policy. Now, moving forward, do I think that policy is going to change? Without a doubt. And I believe this case is going to have a chilling effect, not just on what happens in Moab, but what happens across the country. I know I deal with cases here in Florida in Hillsborough County, where you have a domestic situation and somebody has to go to jail. No matter what the alleged victim may say or no matter what the defendant may say, usually somebody goes to jail. And this case may create that policy where you don't have the separation, where someone has to go to jail, a no contact order may be issued, and ultimately you'll have to go through the court system.
Again, Brian Camerino, Anthony Rickman, Ken Stevens here with you live on WFLA Now. We're going to resume and we're going to go rapid fire here through all the comments that we have here in the queue here. I would just like to take a moment here to acknowledge, of course, that this is spurring, has already begun to spur a conversation online about how we go about and how we prevent domestic disputes, domestic abuse, domestic violence, prevent these situations from occurring and prevent future tragedies. And I just want to really quickly get the 2 cents here from Anthony and Bryant, and Ken, feel free to chime in if you'd like to as well. We need to be better. We need to do better. There's got to be a way that we can be better, and it falls on every state across the country here to have these conversations now, whether it's at the local level, the county level, the state level, or the federal level. There just needs to be more of a conversation. It falls on every one of us to have the right conversations here to prevent future tragedies related to domestic abuse and domestic violence. I think that everybody here watching probably has some connection to some form of a domestic dispute, domestic abuse, or domestic violence. I think that everybody here has been touched by it in some way, and it's a conversation that, in my opinion, just hasn't really picked up enough steam and momentum. And perhaps this tragedy, what happened to Gabby Petito, perhaps that there will be more people trying to carry this conversation forward. But Bryant and Anthony, I'm going to ask the two of you, who does that fall now as far as protocol here? Let's just kind of break down policy and protocol. Does that fall on the state legislature? Does that fall on police departments and their protocols? What has to be done to prevent this sort of situation from ending without a situation where we're all looking back and like Anthony noted, armchair kind of quarterbacking here, weeks later and dissecting every moment of this video. Bryant, what do you think?
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. I think Anthony's right. It's going to change. I think it's going to change at the legislative level across the country, and to policy level. It's going to be a situation now where law enforcement is going to respond to domestic violence. Somebody's going to be arrested, regardless. I think if there's probable cause, somebody's going to be arrested. And it may be the right policy to prevent something like this from happening. But I guarantee you, they're going to arrest scores and arrest it. So, but I think at the end of the day, I think it needs to change for that reason, to prevent from what happened here. But again, we're assuming, and we don't have any evidence, we're assuming that in this case, Mr. Laundrie committed the homicide of this young lady. But regardless of what the results are of that investigation, everyone's going to get arrested. At least one person is going to get arrested. And then within that, some people may not be maybe wrongfully accused. But I think something needs to be done. And so it'll change at the legislative level and at the policy level.
Anthony, really quick, but as we kind of get on with the comments here and the questions, yeah?
Yeah, and fellow Bryson, I think it starts at the level of law enforcement. Educating law enforcement to look for signs of real victims, look for signs of abuse, educating them through domestic violence advocates on what to see and how to make that decision on who goes in. As a prosecutor, I prosecuted exclusively domestic violence. And one of my biggest fears was, you get rid of a case is null process, the victim isn't cooperative. Is that victim not cooperative because she's scared? Is that victim not cooperative because she feels under duress? And your biggest fear is letting a circumstance happen where you drop a case or someone's not arrested and we see something tragic like this happen to somebody who may have been a victim. So it has to start at the law enforcement level and then work its way up to legislature and making policy that a circumstance, if this is a homicide or any other circumstance like this, doesn't occur.
And we look forward here at WFLA to being part of solutions and part of having conversations about domestic violence awareness, about domestic abuse awareness. We really look forward to having those conversations here. We have another 15 minutes here, folks, with our experts here on panel: Anthony Rickman, Ken Stevens, Bryant Camarado. I'm JB Buno. Let's get to this next one. And this has, of course, been somebody that everyone's been talking about on social media. Ken, I'm really curious to hear your perspective here from Patty Ray, #HeyJB. What happened with Dog the Bounty Hunter? Is he still around? Ken, you are an expert in locating missing people. If there's somebody who's out there and we don't know where they are, you're the person that they call, as far as here in Pinellas County, here in the Tampa Bay area, to track them down here. So what do you make of Dog the Bounty Hunter's involvement here in this case?
I think it's pretty interesting. Obviously, the guy's good at what he does. He's the one thing that gives Dog or Dwayne Chapman an advantage is people may respond to him just because of his celebrity status, and that's a positive. I was noticing on one of the videos of him when he was knocking on a door and a couple cars stopped and everybody jumped out to take pictures. They may also have information that may generate phone calls or tips, and that's great. Like I said before, this case is going to be solved because somebody's going to have information and they're going to make a call that gives law enforcement a tip, and we're going to respond and get this guy. If Dog is able to generate that tip, good for him.
I want to respond here really quickly to some of the commenters here that are talking here about the panel here, and I am very open and honest with our viewers here as far as the comments that are coming in real time. We see the comments coming in about how there needs to be more of a conversation and a more diverse, I think to say the least, more diverse panel of individuals here to talk about domestic violence and domestic violence awareness. And I want to make it very, very clear for our audience, wherever you're watching from, this was to tap into the legal experts here, the law enforcement experts here on the Gabby Petito, Brian Laundrie story here. I know that there's a lot of folks that want there to be more of a conversation here about domestic violence awareness. We are going to be having those conversations here with you, but that was not the intent of this panel. There will be additional conversations here about that, and we look forward to being part again of the solution here. Let's get to some more of the comments that are coming in here. Again, this is a panel here about the Gabby Petito homicide. It's a panel about Brian Laundrie's disappearance here. Let's get to this one here real quickly. Anthony, Debbie Farrell asking #AJB, why is there only a warrant for credit card fraud and not murder? And right now, because first and foremost, Anthony, this is not a murder investigation. Right now is a homicide investigation. What do you say here for Debbie's comment?
Yeah, right now we don't even know the cause of death. We know that it was deemed a homicide. But in order to charge somebody with murder, you have to establish who caused the death and what actually caused the death. And law enforcement is still conducting their investigation. In a case like this, where there's no direct evidence, you don't have an eyewitness saying, I saw him pull the trigger, I saw him kill this person, if it's him. Law enforcement has to piece together the evidence to make a circumstantial case. And in order to even get there, they have to prove how Gabby died. And that process through the autopsy, through the medical examiner's office, takes time. Look, we heard the press conference from the Petito family, how they're not even receiving her body at the current time because they're still doing investigative work in relation to her autopsy. And ultimately, if there is evidence, if they establish that probable cause that she was murdered, and then establish probable cause that Brian Laundrie is the person who murdered her, guaranteed he will be charged. We're just not there yet. And right now they have one charge that they feel that they can stick, one charge they know they can prove, and that's what he's charged with. Ultimately, if the evidence supports it, he will be charged with murder.
How about this one here from Deepika Batari, #HJB, and we'll send this one over to Bryant. What if he's long gone? Let's just not stick with Canada or Mexico. If he's somewhere in Asia, like India or Nepal, this just goes to speak that that people are wondering that could Brian be anywhere in the world? Bryant, if Brian Laundrie was located internationally, whether it be Canada, Mexico, or elsewhere, where do the complexities arise there in this case?
Well, first you have to look at the extradition treaty between whatever nation, assuming he's hiding out some nation. And so some nations have a treaty, hey, we'll extradite your prisoner back to your country if you don't impose a death penalty, as an example. Others have other restrictions. So if he's somewhere or he may be in a country where there is no extradition treaty, so he's going to be hiding out. And so, quite frankly, I think the reason why the feds did what they did in terms of the warrant is that way they have not only a national law enforcement level of looking for him, but also tap into the international resources. So hopefully they can find him there, because it's hard, as you can imagine, for Wyoming police to call Interpol or some international agency to say, hey, help us find this guy. So I think that's to the last question. I think that's the real reason why they went with the one charge federally, because it's easier for them to hopefully find him. But bottom line, they're going to have to look to see what country's in if he's out of country, and what is the treaty between the two countries to see how we can get him back. But if he's in a country where it's extraditable, he'll be back.
I'm going to take this one here from YouTube, from Lisa on YouTube. I'm going to pose it to both Anthony and Bryant here. #HJB, and Anthony, we'll start here with you, and then Bryant, you can chime in here as well. #HJB, how can releasing the cause of death interfere with the case? And Anthony, there's been, of course, talk online as to whether or not they're withholding the cause of death for law enforcement and investigative reasons. What's your take on that?
Well, we don't know. Obviously, when we look at this case, we don't know the cause of death. And look, the suspect is still on the run. So law enforcement's main concern, I say suspect because we believe him to be a suspect in this murder, the person of interest, as he's been deemed, is still on the run. So law enforcement is holding back the evidence. They don't want a situation where they come out and say, hey, we know he killed her in this manner, to further prevent him or further encourage him not to come back. So understand, they're keeping what they have back because this is still an open and pending investigation. And they have to maintain the integrity of their investigation to make sure they have all the evidence and that they gather everything ultimately when they're ready to charge him so that they can charge him. And it's not uncommon in investigations like this for law enforcement to hold back on what they have until the suspect is captured because they want to get him in. Maybe he comes in and gives a full confession and a full statement that's supported with the evidence they find from the autopsy. And until they find him, I don't anticipate, the FBI giving press conferences as to what they may or may not have in relation to proving this charge.
Before Brian, I get your comment here. So Anthony, you said that Brian Laundrie, you said it just now that he's on the run. I want to make it clear here for our audience here that right now he is a missing persons case in Florida, and he is a person of interest in an FBI-led criminal investigation, but they've made no indication that he is in fact on the run. But that, Anthony, I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here. That's what you believe.
Yeah, look, we don't know where he is. He's a missing person. But at the same time, obviously, we know law enforcement is looking for him. We know Dr. Bonnie is looking for him. We know that sleuths on the internet are looking for him, and he hasn't turned up yet. So, ultimately, there's no evidence that he's fleeing per se, but he still hasn't turned himself in. He still hasn't cooperated with law enforcement. His parents don't know where he is. And putting two and two together, obviously, he's in a circumstance where you would assume he doesn't want to be found.
Brian, you want to add to that? Yeah.
I agree in terms of going back to the question itself. The biggest collateral benefits of maintaining or withholding the cause of death is if for some reason he did commit this murder, or murdered her, and he was dumb enough to blab, "Hey, I stabbed her 5 times," and the autopsy reports result that it was 5 times that she was stabbed. There's a corroborating evidence that they need to support his confession and to later convict him, if that's in case what happened. So that's, I think, another reason why they're withholding it. So if he's dumb enough to say something to someone, they bring it in as a collateral witness to say, yeah, he confessed to something that only the true killer would know.
How about this question here? We'll bring in Ken from Melvin Jackson here. #AJB. What happens if he's found dead by his own hand? What happens? Will Gabby ever get the justice that she deserves? Of course, so many people out there are, there's a lot of folks out there that want, of course, Brian to be found alive. I think that overwhelmingly our audience here wants Brian to be found alive because they want justice for Gabby here. But what do we say here, Ken, for Melvin's comment here coming in?
Well, first of all, if he's found dead, that doesn't mean that justice doesn't get served. There still may be plenty of evidence that gives law enforcement information they need to be able to wrap up the investigation with a conclusion and say, yes, he was the perpetrator, or in fact, no, he was not. And that could contribute to justice in that manner. Whether he's guilty or not guilty of the crime, one more death is just one more tragedy. And it's a tragedy that she's gone, and any other person is a tragedy as well. Let me add one other thing that hasn't come up in a question so far, but it's something that needs to be considered in this case. There is a widespread assumption that Brian Laundrie is guilty. And frankly, there's not been a whole lot of reason not to suspect him of being guilty. However, many investigations have failed because an investigator determines a conclusion first and then looks for evidence to support the conclusion. And in cases like this, you need to look at the evidence and let it take you to a conclusion, whatever the actual conclusion is.
And I've been talking about that, Ken, too, about how the internet, of course, is has pretty much immediately, almost from his arrival back into Florida, the internet has vilified Brian Laundrie here without really knowing what happened there on the road in their van life road trip and the circumstances surrounding his return here, of course, to Florida. And this is a last call for your hashtag HeyJB, hashtag WFLA Now, hashtag really any hashtag you see on your screen here. Any of them, hashtag Anthony, Ken, Bryant, will feature your comments here. But Anthony, I want to come back to what we were talking about earlier. You brought up the grand jury here a short time ago, and Auntie Lynn, hi, Auntie Lynn. I like the name. Auntie Lynn on Twitter, hashtag HeyJB. Could the parents be forced to give up their phones by a grand jury order? We were talking about the grand jury earlier and whether or not that's going to be something that's going to happen. What are the benefits? And to answer Auntie Lynn's question here, could they be forced to give up their personal cellular devices here? But let me preface this also by saying that right now, Northport police are saying that Brian Laundrie's parents, Chris and Roberta Laundrie, they're cooperating with this being a missing persons case as far as finding their son.
Yeah, so we don't know what the parents have done. For all we know, the parents have already provided voluntarily the cell phones. We do know that it came out yesterday through the attorney that Brian had purchased a phone when he got back from Florida, and that phone is now in the possession of the FBI. So if the federal government or local officials determine that there was probable cause, they could seek a warrant potentially for the phones of the parents. The grand jury can also potentially subpoena the phone from the parents. But at this point in time, we don't know what the parents are doing because, we do know that there's a federal investigation. We do know that they were cooperative to some extent when they reported Brian missing a few days after he disappeared into the preserve. So, to answer the question, yes, it's possible that the federal government or as well as state and local officials could subpoena the phones, but it's also quite possible that they're voluntarily cooperating and providing those phones to law enforcement through the course of the investigation and looking for their son.
How about this next one here that just came in a moment ago? And let's, I'll bring everybody in here for this one because this is an interesting one. Maybe Ken, we'll start with you here, but Anthony and Bryant, I'd be very curious to hear your perspectives here. And let me just make sure I have it. Tanya B on Twitter, hashtag HeyJB, hashtag Hey Anthony and Bryant. Is there a deadline or maximum time that they would look for Brian? Is it months? Years? We're now in a new month. It is October 1st here, Ken, and the search for Brian Laundrie presses on here. But how long could a search of this magnitude, with, of course, all the money and resources and manpower that's being committed here, how long do you think that this could go on?
I think it could go on until they find him. And what we see now is we saw a very concentrated search in the reserve. We saw a very concentrated search in one area, but we also see that search scaling back based upon active intelligence. And I don't anticipate this being a circumstance where they just stop looking. And whether it be a year, a month, a day, we see America's Most Wanted. We see programs associated with this. We see wanted posters. Law enforcement isn't just going to stop looking for him because they can't find him right away. There are going to be detectives, agents assigned to his case until he is found and located or until potentially he's cleared. So I don't believe that time is going to hurt that. Time hurts, obviously, in finding him, but time is not going to hurt in them continuing to search for him.
Ken, what do you think?
I absolutely agree. The amount of resources assigned might change, but I don't think anybody's going to quit looking for him.
How about this? We'll end out here on this here, you guys. I'm going to go around the horn here one at a time. Bryant, we'll start with you here. Everyone just for a moment here, taking off their expert hat here for this last question here. First and foremost, why do you think that so many people are following this story? I have said from the beginning that I think, of course, that it starts with Gabby. It starts with the woman here in the center of your screen and wanting justice for Gabby. Just why do you think that there's such why do you think that there's so many people following the story really around the world? And where do you see this going here? We don't have any intel that the world, of course, doesn't already have. We have, snippets of information. We have the timeline that has increasingly had its gaps be filled in certain spots here and there. But Bryant, as far as the international attention that this story has received and where this goes from here, and the public clamoring for new information at every hour and wanting there to be a resolution to the story, wanting the facts to come out, what do we say here for the public as far as wanting this to result here in a resolution that we can all get behind?
I don't think this is something new. I think Casey Anthony, you know, you name it. Before that, Ted Bundy, even before social media. I think people, it's a human interest story. There's a bad guy, allegedly a bad guy out there. There's a victim out there, and people sympathize with her and the family. And I think they want closure just from it's a human interest story. So I don't think this is new. I just think that because of the advent of social media, international news, it has gained more traction. But I remember when I'm old enough to remember when the hostages were being held in Iran. I couldn't wait to see Nightline to find out what the status was. So it's just a human interest story. But because of social media, Netflix, and podcasts, it's just more traction. And then, of course, it has an international appeal as well. So it's just, I don't think it's new to us.
What do you think, Anthony?
It's a tragedy. I mean, no matter how we cut it, there's a young girl whose life was lost. And this is a young girl who's, you know, she broadcast her life on the internet. They documented her van tour. So she's somebody who I think is attached to a lot of girls. She could be my daughter. She could be anyone's daughter. She could be anyone's sister. And when you just look at the surrounding circumstances of him coming back without her, and then him not presenting himself now, the intrigue behind that about what happened, and then unfortunately they find her body. I think it's a real life, you know, mystery, and I believe that people are following it because that Gabby could be anybody's friend, sister, brother, and it's sad, it's tragic, it's horrific to see, knowing that the ultimate result is she's no longer with us. And I think as a society, when you see the facts of this case and you hear it, it creates that real life drama that people are attracted to, and it's playing out in front of our eyes, in front of the eyes of the world.
Ken, I'm going to ask you the same question here as well, but also I'm going to add on here, you being our missing persons experts, same question, but also the add-on here. Are we ever going to find Brian Laundrie?
First of all, this is the news item it is because now we have 24 hour, 7-day-a-week news. It's on our TV, the radio, the computer. It's on your cell phone. You're confronted with it every single minute in every form of media. So it's there. Number two, yes, absolutely. I think Brian Laundrie is going to be found. I've heard people, I just came back from a trip and I heard people when we were sitting around at different locations going, look at that person, they look like Brian Laundrie. People are looking, and someplace he's going to show up. Somebody's going to recognize that and be correct, and he's going to be found.
I'd like to thank our entire panel here for joining us here, everybody on WFLA Now, taking time out of their day here to join us and have a conversation here on the latest on, of course, Gabby Petito there at the center of your screen, the manhunt for Brian Laundrie, the new video, of course, out of Utah. Same encounter, but a new angle and a different perspective there of that incident that occurred there, of course, in Utah. I'd like to thank all of our panelists here. Ken Stevens, of course, from SIG 14 Investigations, Anthony Rickman from the Rickman law firm here, of course, in Tampa Bay, as well as Brian Camerano, attorney of law here in Tampa. I'd like to really thank our entire panel. I'm going to be staying on stream here for just a few more minutes, you guys. You guys can, of course, hop off the Zoom call, but a big thank you to all of you guys for spending time to talk to our audience here today.
Thank you for having me, Jimmy. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
All right, you guys, thanks a lot. And let's stay here with you live for just another moment here as we have a conversation.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. What do you make out of the new portion of the video we didn't see before? Actually, before I get into that, Shannon, happy anniversary. 20 years with your high school sweetheart. I can't wait to see the pictures. And I did not get to check my email or my messenger yet. So let's all tell Shannon happy anniversary. I think I saw in there Holly had an anniversary yesterday. Happy anniversary to you. I always love it when you guys bring up anniversaries, birthdays, and things like that. That's a big part of our channel and being the community that we are. I can't get over how calm Brian is considering how upset and worked up she is. And I know in my state that whether she said that she did something or they know he did something, someone's going to jail. I really feel like a big ball was dropped. Let's see what Kevin B thinks. Hey, Kevin B.
Good morning, afternoon, people.
Love the
And-
avatar. Did you get a haircut there?
Yeah, I'm on the phone with my wife.
Oh, you're on the phone with your wife. Looks like you guys are at dinner or something. Is that a
Yeah.
restaurant?
Could be.
Beautiful. Well, you know,
All right,
we have
happy anniversary, Shannon. I
and
hope
Holly.
you have
And
another. I hope she has another 50 years.
Yep. Gotta answer this real
Because
quick.
nowadays people just don't stay married very long.
No. And in some relationships, like this one, for good reason, you get away from each other.
Mhm.
Pauline, does anyone know if they met up the next day? Yes, they did. They actually took off and they went to Salt Lake City, I believe. He flew to Florida, flew back, went to Wyoming, and well, we know what happened there. His duper's delight and the fact that he seemed pretty satisfied with himself talking to the police. Of course, we've heard it over and over. Him saying, you know, she's crazy, and the police saying, oh, my ex-wife's crazy too, and stuff like that. You had 2 witnesses see him hit her. Somebody should have been in jail. You can fight it out later with your lawyer. You can fight it out later with your lawyer on what really happened. You know, who hit who first, what was going on. She had new bruises on her. And there's a big back and forth on the internet right now. They're like, no, the police did the exact right thing. That's exactly what they should have done. No reason to put anyone in jail when they both admitted fault. What do you think, Kevin?
Well, first of all, I want to say this before I lose the thought. I said since the first time this case happened that I wonder if Brian isn't waiting for the cause of death to come out for some reason.
Do you think he'll come out of hiding then?
Yes.
1 second. Dr. Shankar, the panel is
I do.
posing holier than thou attitude. They are trying to depict Brian as an innocent person. Absolutely not. I don't think that Brian's innocent. Nobody said that. Welcome to the channel. Never seen you before.
No way.
And no one is saying that at all. Brian's parents are cooperating with the FBI and law, not according to them. Is there something you know that nobody else knows? Because there is no indication they're communicating or cooperating with anyone. How are they cooperating?
Who? The parents?
Yeah, we have a comment in here.
What was it?
I'll read it again. Hang on. The panel is posing a holier than thou attitude. They are trying to depict Brian as an innocent person. Do you mean this panel or do you mean WFLA? Also, another idea being floated.
I think she means FLA.
Yeah, I misread your comment. I apologize. I do that sometimes. I apologize. Because on here, we don't think Brian's innocent of anything, and we don't believe that his parents are cooperating with anyone. But I agree, WFLA, they're really giving him a lot of breaks. I apologize.
The only thing with Brian's parents, in my opinion, I'm just not sure if they know exactly where he is, the exact location. I don't know.
Yeah. Brett, that's hilarious. Yeah, I do need to go to church. You're right. Hello, what then, guys?
Hello, how y'all doing?
Good morning, big guys.
just going through this video, okay, let's say that she started the whole thing, because I mean, we just keep getting bits and pieces out of this video, all right? So
Yeah,
one of the two, I mean, what are the laws in Texas? Because in Oklahoma, one of the two would be in jail. She was left in a van in the middle of nowhere, Moab, Utah. He went to a hotel. She had new injuries on her. Now, we know why she didn't call her family, because most victims do not admit to what's really going on, because in their mind, it's going to get better. They can fix it. That's part of the syndrome. So now what do you see when you see the rest of this?
well, in Texas, I think the ones that have the marks on them go to jail, so they both would have been hauled off. And another thing is, on one part of it that I shared today, they seem to have a problem with deciding what to do. And the officer that was left to make the decision wanted to take it in front of the city attorney and to let them decide where he would, ticket her, but she would have to appear later, all this stuff. And they said, oh no, when you do that, if you have enough evidence to make the decision on your own, then it's going to come back on you and you won't like the results. So there's a whole lot of politics involved in what was happening here with the way the law enforcement handled it.
A lot of politics, hence why the chief of police is on, excuse me, FMLA, supposedly. We know what's really going on there.
Exactly.
Ridiculous. Someone, at least it said in this state, someone goes to jail, especially when the police picked out new injuries. That's new. Let me see your cheek. We have 2 witnesses that saw him strike you. They talked to him. You're a lot bigger than her. You can handle her. Let's just say she went, and this is a typical term, batshit crazy and just went nuts on him in the store. Okay, he's got 100 pounds at least on her.
Yep.
Should have been a little bit more than him going to a women's shelter, which is basically what happened, and her sleeping by herself in the van. You know, her parents have got to be fit to be tied right now. And Pauline, to answer your question,
Well,
I absolutely do believe that Brian killed Gabby.
yeah, I mean, I was raised, you don't hit girls, that's just wrong, in my opinion. I mean, oh, I beat up a girl. Well, that's real tough of you. I mean, you just don't hit nobody, but I mean, especially, men. I mean, he was a grown man, and beating up on a girl. What a puss.
Well, yeah, he was a guy and bigger than her. And, if the same thing had happened with a little bitty guy and a bigger guy, the bigger guy usually just laughs at the little guy and puts his hand on his forehead and holds him off,
Yeah. Brandon in chat just said, no shit, dummy. Are you talking about me? What, big eyes, or Kevin? Who's the dummy? Or are you talking about WFLA? Because none of us here pretend to be experts, but you're welcome to grab the link and come up and school us all if you're talking about us. If not, welcome.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree, Piomi. By the way, we have a lot of new people in chat today. Welcome to our strange, funny, laid-back community. Sub the channel. Make sure you hit the bell, and that way we can hang out more. Let's see what Outlaw Trucker has to say. Hey, Outlaw, what's going on out on the road today?
Not too bad. A little quiet out here, but anyway, it's not bad.
Hey, Outlaw.
I still disagree. Hey, what's up, Kevin? But I still disagree with the new evidence that came out. It still comes back to as Brian is a manipulator, controller, and the aggressor of how I seen it. I mean, it's still lies evidence that he's the one that started it. But on Gabby's body language, she was the one that was in self-defense, protecting. She had every right to defend herself.
Sure, she did.
Yep.
Sure, she. And I mean, what do we see? The officer, trained officer, went to the police academy, sees this stuff more often than we should. Said we saw two witnesses saw him hitting you. Somebody should have gone to jail, because then somebody would have had to have called their parents or someone else to get them out. They would have reached out.
Yeah, that's true.
And if she was truly the one that started it, or if he was truly the one that started it, that would have been worked out later, and probably between the two of them, because it is a toxic cycle.
Yep.
But
Well,
it all comes. But sorry about that, Ice. But it comes all back on the dispatch call. If we didn't have that as an evidence, as a trained security and all that, I could have locked them both up and let the courts settle it in court. But since the audio came out saying that there was two people that actually stated and seen that Brian hit her first, then that right there tells me I should have arrested him.
Yeah. Hang on one second. Summer McCurdy. Welcome, Summer. I've never seen you in here before. And if you've been in here before and I missed you, I apologize. Gabby was definitely protecting Brian from getting in trouble from the cops. She was scared and had adrenaline. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that is so common. So common.
Yeah, they even, when they questioned her, excuse me, she was trying to deny it, but she had marks on her.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had the report. So they need to be better trained not to listen when the victim tries to deny it, to keep from having further repercussions down the road,
Especially when the victim is saying something like, it's from my backpack. It's from my backpack. No, I'm not a police officer. I'm not a nurse. I'm nothing like that. I would have said right along, I've been like, no, that's not from your backpack. Let's take you to the ER and get you checked out. Let's find out where those injuries came from.
You know what? I was just thinking about something. You know what's terrible is that video of Gabby in the police car. That's probably the most recent video of her parents' daughter. Can you imagine? Listen, could you imagine watching that? Wow. We get pissed off.
That blows my mind. Unless they FaceTimed her afterward, but that's what they have to see all the time.
Yeah, would that piss you off or what? And how terrible would that be for a parent? That video would be haunting.
It haunts me, and I'm not her mama.
Exactly.
Yeah, she was so upset and shaken and afraid.
Yep. And that's the last. That was your daughter. That's her last. I don't know what you want to call it, but how horrific and how sad. I mean, wow.
Hang on, Brett wants to say something. Hey, Brett. Now that we have several people backstage, but if your devices aren't connected, I can't put you on. Outlaw Trucker, you lost your device. It looks like you lost your mic. What's up, Brett?
Hello, Brett. We can't hear him.
Nope, we can't hear you.
Barely. I have headphones on, really good ones. I can barely hear him.
Yeah, I couldn't hear him at all.
Yeah, he'll pop back in. Outlaw Trucker said that he fixed his. All right, sorry about that. It showed that you lost your device. All right, so we've seen the video in different stages. It seems like we've been hand-fed just a little bit here and there. But when I see this part of it, where she's taking the total blame, now I'm 110,000% convinced that this was beyond an abusive relationship. This was a dangerous relationship for obvious reasons, as we know.
Yeah, I've said that from the very beginning. This just didn't happen. You know, me and Big Eyes were talking about it. This just didn't happen. I mean, this escalated over time to get to the point of absolute red, blinding rage.
Yes.
I wonder when the escalation started. Juan, what are you talking about? Justice for Brian. He's got an attorney.
Well, it even goes back on Brian's sister. I mean, she even stated remarks that he is actually an aggressor in a way. If you read off Brian's sister's body language.
Right. Well, I'm sure, I've said it. I mean, I'm sure Brian is a narcissist.
Yeah.
Just like Don Wells.
She was exactly Julie Gross. I have to address this comment. She was having a full-blown panic attack. Should have called the EMTs. I agree with that 100%. I believe something more should have been done there instead of, hey, you go to the hotel, you sleep in the van by yourself in the middle of nowhere. That's crazy. Shannon's coming up. Welcome, Shannon. Happy anniversary.
Well, thank you so much. I just have something to say. I don't know if all those pictures are real or whatever, but I do believe that his parents are in on this for sure.
I don't think they're in on the death. I think they're in.
Oh, no. I'm talking about helping him get away. He had like a 9-day start. And I do think that he's closer than they think. I think that the parents are in contact with him at least every day, if not every day, every other day. Somehow they are.
Yeah, I think that too. I don't think he's in the swamp at all.
No, I don't either.
I need to address a comment real quick. Fodar, I've never seen you here before. It says you're talking to one of the mods, and I've got a lot of background noise. What's going on? It says you all don't respect the victim. We do. We are talking about the domestic violence that led to Gabby's death. Are you assuming there's another victim? And if you want to grab the link, please come up. Exactly, Brett. Burn phones. Go ahead and continue, Shannon. Sorry, I just want to address that.
Oh, no, you're fine. That's pretty much what I wanted to say. I was a victim of domestic violence for a long time before I met my husband, and it just, I don't know, it's just breaking where she is watching those videos and seeing how much she
Hang on, you lost your microphone. Hang on.
Yeah, she keeps coming in and out on my end.
Well, on the back side, it showed that her devices weren't connected. Hang on, I am 911 wants to come up and chat. Hey, what's going on?
Hey. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What's going on?
Hold on, I can't hear anything.
Why are these people having such a hard time?
I don't know. Something's going on today because we have a bunch of people backstage and it says their devices aren't connected.
Hello?
Can you hear me, Kevin?
Is everybody else there?
Yeah,
I can hear everybody.
I can hear you, Kevin. Uh-oh, maybe Kevin can't lost his thing.
Can
No,
you hear us?
am I there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're here.
Yeah, I lost it. You know, for some reason, ever since that damn tornado, I don't know that, and I have trouble with StreamYard for some reason. I don't get it.
Well, we can hear you, my friend.
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay, well, you can hear us
So
now.
I put my headphones on and I put my phone in the house next to the damn router.
Well, where are you at in the house? Hang on, we got someone backstage. Hey, nice to meet you, News. What's going on?
See, now I can't hear them.
Nope, can't hear him either.
Can you hear us?
He's moving his mouth. You better do something about your mic.
Is there anybody out there?
Yeah, this. Yeah, I know. So anyway, today's October 1st, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I think that's probably should be good opportunity for better training for certain people. Okie Mom's coming up. Hey, Okie Mom.
I can't hear her either.
She hasn't started talking yet.
Oh.
You're on here, Okie Mom.
Hello, we can hear you. I mean, we can't, but say something.
It could be a mistake because she's in her car. I don't know.
Something is going on, man.
This is weird.
I'm in my
Yeah,
truck
I mean,
and I can hear
everybody.
USA
What
Girl.
was that?
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Yeah, Outlaw can hear us. Let's try this one more time. And guys, if I keep putting you up and it's not connecting and there's something wrong because it's not on my end, then we'll try it another day.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Welcome, News.
Hello.
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 We can hear you.
That's good.
Yeah,
Wow,
we
this
can
is.
hear you.
Oh.
Okay.
This is weird.
Okay, so
Okay.
so we think about Bowen.
Who
Brian,
is
okay.
who? Oh, Brian. What do we think? We think that Brian did something awful to Gabby.
He's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
That's for
in
sure.
big trouble.
I think the devil don't want to hear us today.
Nah, I don't know. Hey, Brett, what's up?
Split.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, third time's the charm.
Seems like.
Hey, what was it, Brett? What was the problem?
My mic was muted.
Yeah.
Okay, these other people, yeah.
Yeah, because everyone said device is not connected.
Yeah, it was my mic. Now,
Oh, well,
here's my
glad
thing.
you're here.
Thank you. This is what I think. First and foremost, domestic violence is horrible. And, as far as Brian goes, like girl Shannon said, he's got 9 days, ahead of the FBI. He's going to get caught sooner or later. Let's face it. But he's got 9 days. And, as far as, people saying, where is he? I don't think it really matters where he is. His parents are helping him out. That's for sure. I'm convinced of that. And, at the end of the day, he's going to get caught sooner or later. And we're going to have justice for Gabby.
Absolutely. And I think they're going
agree.
to test him first. Then they're going to do the murder charges.
Yes. Yeah.
that was like, that brings me to the thought. Sometimes JB is so, I don't even know the word, but anyway, he asked that guy, so why do you think this case is so big? Well, her parents did the right thing. That's
Thank
why.
you. Yep, her parents did the right thing. And I'm going to say this. I put it on
Don.
we put this on the Facebook page today. And I'm sticking by this. If Dog the Bounty Hunter catches him and the authorities don't, I'm not paying any more taxes.
Oh, there you go.
If a reality TV star grabs him and they don't, boy, it's really, especially the people of Florida, should be very upset about all this money that's been spent at the swamp. What do you think, What Big Eyes?
Yeah, I think so. It just, there's just so many that they've dropped the ball in this case.
Yeah. And Brandon, I agree. Brian is no longer in Florida, but that's where they're focusing the search.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that unless it's a ploy. I don't, because I don't know. In my opinion, he's not even anywhere close to that area.
Yeah.
Maybe they're just trying to build the case on him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just playing, in my opinion, and playing devil's advocate. Maybe that's
Hey,
why they're taking so long.
I got a question for you. I asked it earlier. Do you think he's waiting for the cause of death to come out?
Honestly, I don't. I think he's got bigger concerns on it. You know, he's just worried about getting caught.
Yeah, me too. I don't think he's concerned about the cause of death because he knows the cause of death. He's not going to come forward. And we all have opinions and we can agree to disagree. I think he's going to stay gone as long as he can.
Yeah. He can't hide under mommy's apron anymore, so he's on the run.
Well, what I was getting at, what if it's some kind of a move that his lawyer, I'm just saying.
Well, if you think of it that way, the lawyer, if he did that, the lawyer could get charged with an obstruction of justice. You know, interfering with law enforcement's investigation.
That's true, because if he's talking to him, is that the same as knowing where he's at?
Yeah, he's aiding and abetting a fugitive.
Okay.
Yeah, and lying to the police, he can be disbarred. I mean, he's not, because he's a lawyer doesn't make him exempt from anything.
He's a civil servant. You know, I mean, that's what, you know, same as Paul Pitt, but he he could get charged if he knows where he is.
I want to answer this really quick. Is it true that he stole Gabby's smartwatch? I read that in one article. I don't know if that's been verified by the police or anything.
Why wouldn't he?
Well, he stole her credit card. I mean, what's a smart?
Well, you know, he probably took it because they could have pinpointed where she was at if he'd have left it on her body.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Well, I mean, think about it. I mean, if you're going to take a smartwatch, that's something that's pretty easy to sell. Or he took it and he made sure to go put it somewhere and bury it so he couldn't be tracked any further. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Okay, Okie Mom's trying to come back. Hey, Okie Mom. Are we there?
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are y'all?
Good. Hey, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for letting me come on. I just wanted for a minute. I do believe Brian is definitely guilty. But coming from a family of law enforcement, let's stop and play devil's advocate for just a second. Okay, they were outside over an hour. It was like hotter than heck in the sun. There was like 4 different police officers out there, or law enforcement out there, saying you can do this, but you can do that, or you can do this, or you can do that, but if you do this, then you're going to do that. At the end of the day, should more have been done? Absolutely. But did they do what they thought was the right thing? Because he was like, she's 22. If we take her to jail, she'll have a record, and then she's going to have to come back. And I think I think they made the best call for being there at the time and however degrees hot it is.
And it's hot. And it's hot in August in Utah. I mean, last time we were there was at the end of July. It was 107. I mean, it was hot.
Yeah. And
That's why I love this.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that's why I love this channel. I mean, everybody can give their opinions, and this is a good one.
Well, I agree that they did her an injustice, but I think being on location at the moment there, I think they made a fair call. They separated them. They weren't supposed to get back together or, talk that evening. They had already broken up once, if I'm not mistaken, and then gotten back together. Is that correct? And then they were separated this time, and they probably were right back together the very next morning. Had they both gone to jail? I don't know, because if you remember when her dad did his interview, and Dr. Phil even asked him, like, did you know about this police encounter? And he's like, no, that's not something you tell your pops. So knowing that she might get out the next day, she might not have called mom and dad.
Yeah. And he even said she knew I would overreact. Well, I mean, and that's fine. And, you have the same opinion as a lot of people. A lot of people are saying, you know what, give the police a break. They're dealing with two young kids that, had a fight. And I think we're being too hard on them. And then some people
would have followed her. I mean, she would have had to have listed that on every job application, anything that she ever did, that, she was arrested. Yeah, she has a record. I don't think that no one could foretell that 2 weeks later she was going to be gone. I mean,
every defense attorney would love to blame the cops.
Right.
I don't think about the cops thing.
This was like a brother sister spat, slap. It's not like, I don't know. I mean, you should never put your hands on anyone anyway.
Right.
But it's not like she beat him or he had beat her down. Now, emotionally, I think he's beat her down, but.
Well, I think he's done way worse than that. I think that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that he was quite satisfied with his performance for the police.
Definitely.
He made sure to let them know that she's the crazy one. But as far as the police, I mean, I'm from Oklahoma too. And I know here, someone's going to jail.
Oh, yeah. But you know what? Okay, so on that, they were like, well, normally someone would go to jail and someone would stay at the house. But they're like, this is their house. Okay.
Oh, good point. Good point.
And then that's what they were bantering back and forth. And they were like, this is their house. And it doesn't, I know from being in a divorce, it doesn't matter whose name the house is in. If they ever had a key to that home or that was their residence, they can come and go from that house until the judge says they can't.
Right.
So, although the van was in her name, it's his residence.
Yeah, he's been in it.
Yeah, you see, it's like there's a whole lot more to it. So then when they were
state? I'm sorry. What state did that happen in again? I apologize.
Moab, Utah.
It was in Utah, because I know each state has different penal law for domestic assault, but for the majority, and this is coming from a law enforcement background as well, majority of the time it's the aggressor is the one that gets to stay away. They call it a stay away order. At least that here in New York State, that's what they call it. And a stay away is whoever the aggressor is has to, basically you can't be in contact with the victim. And
they were saying it was Abby, which when the first 911 call came in, I don't know if that was the first caller or the second caller, but they're like, hey, we just saw the guy slap the girl. Well, then when the police officer called him as he wanted to corroborate the story, the guy was like, well, I don't know who started it. They were kind of laughing at each other. Looked like they were just spatting. So then it was like, oh, okay. So he didn't just, co-cock her or whatever. When the first call came in, he really had.
Mm-hmm. Well, at that point, I think it's just, when law enforcement or, beat cops show up, they have to make the initial assessment. And, nothing wrong. I don't blame the cops at all. They probably deal with domestic disputes all the time. And, they have to articulate what the best decision is. And I agree with what Brooks said that, Brian put on a show. He had a quintessential sociopathic, mentality, and he played victim. And unfortunately, Gabby lost her life for it, but the cops weren't going to know that,
And I'm going to play devil's advocate, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here, because I think that when they truly called out injuries on her and told her 2 witnesses saw him, and the words they used, hit her, strike her. I think something more should have been done that day. They're young kids. Yeah. It wouldn't have ruined the rest of their life.
Right.
It would have been a mistake on one of them, and with their families, they would have had attorneys, and it would have gotten worked out one way or another. And no, the police did not have a crystal ball. They did not know that he was planning to take her to Wyoming or whenever he planned this to kill her. But let's look at the history of domestic violence. I need your help here, What Big Eyes, of how many times the police have been to the house and someone winds up dead. In 9.999% of the time, it's the woman. Go ahead, What Big Eyes?
Yeah. But usually you see it building. There might have been stuff behind closed doors, but usually you see it coming more than this one. But.
Oh yeah, it builds for a long time, and that's why I'm wondering, what was the time bomb?
Yeah.
What made him explode? Go ahead, What Big Eyes?
Well, I think the catalyst was getting called out by the police during the stop. And then it just kept on, because with my experience, they keep throwing it back to the victim. Look what she caused, and it just builds and builds until when they got where they were in Wyoming, he was enraged that he had been even called into question. Mm-hmm. That's what I think happened, because these people that do this stuff, they browbeat the victim, and they in their mind they build this up to where she had done something like she had shot him in the leg or something. They just build it up to where it started out as, well, they had a little public fight and he slapped her, which he shouldn't have done, and she was trying to defend herself.
Mm-hmm. Do you mind if I ask, what do you guys think about this? Maybe Gabby, because he left her, then he flew back to Florida, and then he went and met her again, if I'm correct. And do you think maybe she started gaining independence and not being such, I would think he tended to be like the domineering, like you're saying, Big Eyes, he browbeated her and made her feel bad. Do you think she started saying enough's enough, and that's what caused him to get so enraged?
Well, I know
that was 2 weeks later. So it's like,
something built up.
Yeah, when did he fly home? Was it before or after this?
After Moab. After Moab.
So could it have been when he flew home, and then didn't she have a friend come and stay with her a couple of days, and that's during that time is when Brian flew home?
I know nothing about the friend coming. I know that the friend was supposed to meet them sometime on the trip, and they never got together. But everything I have read just from news articles, she was by herself at that hotel. He flew home supposedly to move some stuff, whether it was from a storage unit to their house or out of the house. I've heard 2 things. He came back, he flies back, which the amount of money it takes, I don't know where you're at, because it says Okie Mama. I'm outside Tulsa. So for me to
I'm
get a
closer
plane
to the Texas border.
All right, so you know what I'm talking. For anybody, I don't care who you are, to get a plane ticket on the fly is expensive. You would just pay somebody to
the
move your
airport
kid.
back.
Yeah,
How
you
do
just
you get
pay
them
some.
back?
Yeah, you just pay someone to move your shit.
Yeah,
You don't
exactly.
fly home and fly back.
Yeah. I'm wondering, okay, so another YouTuber, and I don't know who it was, she was saying that they camped beside the van as well, and that there were 2 women there, and that she never saw Brian. So that's the only reason I was like, so
Oh,
maybe she did meet up with a friend, because I had also heard that nobody knows if they ever met the friend, because they were supposed to meet the friend at Yellowstone, I believe. Was that where they were headed next?
they
Yeah,
went
but
to
they never.
Wyoming, but he sent a message to her mom from her phone saying no service in Yellowstone. And that's been read into a lot because Brian flew back from Florida because she had the van. He drove the van back to Florida, is the last thing that we heard.
Right.
Kevin's back. Oh, he's got a new shiny JB avatar. What's up, Kevin?
How do you do that?
Oh, send me an
Oh,
email.
I
I'll
just
tell
got done having dinner. I went home and put on my work clothes.
Look
you.
at
Look
you.
awesome. You got a new haircut too. It looks like you're ready
Yeah,
for the news.
I'm ready. I
But you,
am ready to ask. I'm ready to ask the report. Why do you think this case has gotten so big?
Because of her
Come on,
parents. Her
JB.
parents pulled out all the stops. Shannon wants to come up and say
Exactly.
hi. Hey, Shannon, what's up?
Oh no,
You have to go into a new
troubles
link.
again.
That's what I had to do. I couldn't follow the link from the page. I had to copy it and open a new tab and go into the link that way.
Yep. Hey, what's up,
Maybe
911?
we.
Did your link work?
Nope. Maybe they drop another link.
It's all
Can I ask something?
Yeah.
All right, you guys kind of help me out. Why didn't the officers come up there and talk to them in person and calm manner of are you guys on a business trip or are you guys on vacation, and kind of lead into that momentum to see where they were actually going, but they didn't. They didn't even ask like questions.
Is that don't you think that's irrelevant where they were going? I mean, that doesn't, where they were going doesn't cause why there was a fight or why they fought,
He
right?
did say, are y'all just passing through living the van life or something of that sort? And when he was talking to Gabby, and Gabby said yes.
Oh.
Yeah. And he's like,
Learn something new every day.
Yep, you do. Hang on. Whispering Winds is going to try this. Hey, Whispering Winds.
Hey, y'all.
You're
Hey.
Florida.
Hi, everybody.
So what are you thinking about this
Y'all
new
can hear
video?
me?
You know what? I would love to see the entire thing because it seems like we're not seeing everything. Go ahead.
Yeah, everybody can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, fantastic. You know, I am so upset after seeing this second body cam show how they knew what was going on. I really feel like they failed Gabby. And what bothers me the most about that is the second officer or the second cam and Gabby telling the officer what happened to, what happened to your face, what happened to your arm. I
Hello?
almost feel as though Gabby was trying to protect Brian. You know, she already knew that once they got through that, she already knew she was going to be in a lot of trouble when this was all gone, you know? So I kind of feel like Gabby was protecting Brian. But at the same time,
I think she's protecting Brian too.
Yeah,
she
but
kept
at
taking
the
all the
same
blame.
time, I feel as though the cop failed her by not going back to Brian immediately and saying, hey, I just saw Gabby's face and I just saw her arm and she told me what happened. Would you like to tell me what happened? He never even questioned it. Why? Why didn't he ask?
She didn't even know she had the bruise on her arm, though. He's like, what happened to your arm? And she's like, I don't know. But I'm sure it was
fresh.
adrenaline.
I think it was
when she was
fresh.
trying to get in the van.
I believe that they were continuing to fight as they left. I believe it was continuing as they were going down the road. And I believe the only time it stopped is when the police pulled them over.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You know, it just really bothers me a whole lot. I mean, so who do we put blame on? Who's at fault here? Could they have done more to protect her?
I think
What
they
do you
did what they thought was right, which was considering that was their home. They bought a nanny for a hotel. So, and then the park ranger said that he could not stay because he had said something about he would stay at the park there where they were getting water. And then the lady, police or park ranger said, "You're not staying here." I don't know if they don't let people stay over there or if she was like, because of this, you're not staying here. I don't know.
Right. I mean, I agree that the police made the right decision by separating them. That should have happened no matter what. But I think if they would have investigated it and knew what Brian was really doing to her, you know, and at the same time, you got to kind of say, well, you know, Gabby kind of protected him. So it's kind of a toss up. You know what I mean?
Well, it's kind of bittersweet because damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right.
You
I
know,
mean, that's kind of it. But now here's the other thing. The other question I have is, the police called the one witness. Why didn't the police call the other witness? Who is the other witness? They said there was two.
Yeah, I said
no idea.
Who is the second witness? And
Maybe law enforcement.
So it was like,
Well, maybe law enforcement told that witness to shut up for some reason. I don't know.
No, it looked like the second witness was a truck driver out there. It was on scene.
Right.
Oh, I don't know anything about it.
Where's the interview on that?
Yeah, there's
Don't
just
know.
so much we don't know. But I know from domestic violence stuff that the most dangerous time for a woman who's been abused and is trying to get out of a situation is if she lets that person know she's leaving.
That makes sense.
That's usually when the murders happen or the severe injuries where you see a woman in ICU and, you know, unconscious and all this. So that could have been what fueled the attack that caused her to become dead. So we just don't know. We won't know until all the stuff comes out.
You know what's sad is I don't know that even when he's caught that we'll ever know. That's what I'm afraid of. You know, here we are trying to catch this kid. You know, we'll never know what really happened. Ever. I don't think, because I don't think he'll ever admit it. If he won't turn himself in now after the woman that he loved was found dead and he was the last person to see her, why in the hell would he ever say what the hell happened?
He's not going to. I have a feeling that when they finally get him, he's already got a story, and it's going to be he's the victim. This was done to him. He's going to come up with something where he had to fight back on her.
Oh, he's going to claim it's self-defense, right?
Yes. I think
that is
so.
The biggest bunch of baloney. And he, oh, wow. That is just so shitty. Just shitty, you know, for him to even think about that. I also think, and I want to point out, there is no way that kid can survive this long out wherever the hell he's at without somebody getting him supplies, giving him money, something. I did hear on another page or tuber, it said that he had a solar panel at one time, and it was actually shown in one of their traveling things where he was using it to connect devices to. So
yeah, that's true. That's how he's keeping his burner phone charged. Yeah.
Right. That's what I think he's doing with that, because you can't stay out there, you know, and, you know, now he knows dog's on him. Dog's going to get him. And the sad part is there going to be a lot of really pissed off people. And there should be, like you said, you know, in Florida that are pissed that all that money was spent on that search. And here comes Dog. Dog's not being paid by the public. He's spending his own money. And This
I want
family-
to.
Oh my God.
I want to address this comment real quick from Dare to Be Different. By the way, welcome to the channel. The whole family is covering for Brian. Even Sister Cassie said she never saw Brian. Now, it's said that she saw him September 1st and on the 6th at the campground. So when she did her TikTok bullshit, talking about how much she loved Gabby and everything, she failed to mention that she saw him. JRRR, you said you people don't know shit. Do you want to get the link and come up and school us? Is there something that you know?
Yeah, that's right. Come on up and join us if you have the ins on all this, because we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, we love other opinions. And if you know something, come on. Yeah, lawyer. So who's
Well,
lawyer?
I don't know. Just getting ready to say, he's right. I don't know shit. I know people. Idiot.
Yeah, and here's the other thing is if you don't like somebody's channel, you can always leave,
Or hang around. I mean, we have plenty of time to give everybody equal attention.
Well, I'd be interested to know what
Yeah,
they know. Since we don't know anything, please come and tell us what you know.
Right.
He said the FBI has arrested him. No, the FBI has not arrested him. This would be a totally different show. But you know what? There's a lot of people on the interwebs that are very, very compassionate towards Brian. We've seen it in lots of other cases. And I'll never understand.
Yeah, and I know it. Yeah, and I know a channel that hates cops too, so I'm sure you'll find him. The FBI has not arrested Brian yet, and if they have, this guy has inside information on stuff we don't know.
JRR. Why now listen. This is the last time you're going to get attention because you know the answers. And I think you're just wanting some attention. So this is it. Why hasn't he been arrested yet? Because he's hiding. His family has been hiding him. He is a scared, weak little man that was abusing this beautiful girl, and he's in hiding.
Yep. Can you imagine what he probably looks like right now?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the look on his face when Dog, the bounty hunter, approaches him?
Well, I'm sure we'll get that on.
It'll probably look like Don Wells when he gets arrested.
Oh, that's a whole nother topic, and I can't wait for that day as well. I think we're all on the same page with that. But my biggest issue is we've got this guy's on the run. Does anybody think that he might try to commit suicide if he gets caught last minute?
I don't think he has the nerve. I think he thinks way too much of himself to hurt himself. He can hurt other people, and I think a lot of things are going to come out after they get him and over the next few months. We've already heard things from friends saying he took her ID, he wanted control of the keys, money, etc. We know after she was dead, he was messaging her own mama from her phone.
Right. He had to have been the only one.
Now he might make them shoot him or something to where he's the victim again.
Yeah, he's going to play the victim anyway, as much as he can. Where is Gabby's phone?
I have never heard. I don't know.
We don't know.
I don't think they know.
Ain't that interesting? I mean, where is it? Somebody has to have it.
Or he
somebody.
Or he tossed it out.
How do you guys think he's surviving out there? How do you think he's eating? What, he doesn't drink out of plastic bottles?
He's not in there. That's my opinion.
Really?
That's my opinion too.
I don't think he's there.
You know what? No. I respectfully disagree, and the reason why is, why would Dog come and look for him there?
But yeah, and yeah, I mean, I've always, and again, it's just my opinion. We can give our opinions on here.
Right.
I think that he's with someone that they trust in New York. I think the rest of this was just a ploy. Because I mean, by now, he'd have been found in that area.
Do you think he was ever in those areas? Either one.
I think for a minute.
Yeah.
A minute.
Maybe
Yeah, I think that's why the parents went there with the camper, met up with whomever that they were passing him off to, and
you know, I wonder, just curious, I wonder if there is any more records after the 6th and the 8th of September of his parents going to that same campground to camp after that. Do we know that?
No, we don't.
No,
we don't know.
Hang
that.
on. Sarah's connected and wants to say hi. There's a few of you backstage that aren't connected. Shannon, Georgia Peach, and Okie 420 Mama. You're not connected.
Hello.
Hi, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I just was wondering, has anybody looked at the Instagram photos?
Yeah.
On her page?
Yeah.
The 9th one down, go to it and look at it real close.
How come? What do you see?
Look at her cheek. It was taken July 21st.
So he'd been hitting her before, because this is not the first time I've heard this. See, I didn't think
Yes.
this was doing overnight, but no, I had not seen another bruise.
No, if you go in there and actually look at her cheek. Look how dark it is in one area, and then it's all lighter and light greenish colored. You can tell he'd been hitting her. That was healing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, she was pretty fair skinned to begin with.
Yep.
I don't think the hitting from Brian was new. I think it had been going on for quite a while.
No, it had been going
takes
on for a while.
especially with both of their personalities. It would take a minute for either one of them to get comfortable with the other to pop them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention. It had been going on a while. I'm sure the FBI, with all that digital evidence they collected, they probably have a lot more.
Oh, they got way more than we've ever thought of. But hey, thanks
Yep.
for being here and thanks for popping on.
Yep. All right. Okay, thanks.
Have a good weekend.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Okay, bye.
Let's see. Okie Mama looks like nope, she's not connected now. I don't know what's going on. Let's see if 911 can get it. You got it, 911? Oh, now you're connected.
Yay! Finally!
What's going on?
Not much. How's everybody doing today?
Oh, pretty good. Just trying to make sense out of this crazy story and how things just
Oh,
go downhill so damn fast.
Oh, I know. Well, I just have a couple of things to say, and it's probably not going to be popular, but that's okay.
That is okay.
Y'all are going to be baffled when you hear this, but in Texas, where I live, and actually I live very close to Oklahoma, up in the Panhandle.
Okay.
We literally get 8 hours a year of domestic violence training.
Okay. That's
literally.
That blows my mind considering there's so many DV calls.
Yes.
But this is not the first time I'm hearing of this.
No. And once you get through the academy is a 9-month course. I think it's 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. There's so much to go through, and mostly what they put their focus on is penal codes, laws, things of that nature. The mental health part is another 8 hours. And then you have 1 year of continuing education, which is online, not even in a classroom.
Huh, super. So how can you be prepared? Let's just say you go to someone's home and they're having a knockdown drag out.
Yeah.
How can you be prepared to deal with that?
You can't. Okay. And there's a lot of advocates out there that are trying to get more training Um, and that's really what they need. There was a lot of issues that I saw on the body cam footage. That, what was his name? The bearded officer?
Yeah.
Pratt, Officer Pratt. Eric Pratt, I believe is his name. He had, I could not believe that he was sitting there talking about his ex-wife.
That blew my mind too. And that could have been a tactic to get him to tell more, get him to open up too.
Right. Yeah, you try to be relatable in any kind of instance, but I have worked with police for over 15 years. I'm not an officer. I have to say that. I'm not an officer. I'm on the other side of the mic as a dispatcher. But these guys have been my family for 15 years. And the things that happen and the things that we see and the things that they deal with out on scene, it's crazy. But
my brother-in-law is a Fort Worth PD, and he says one of the most dangerous calls they do is a DV situation. Because you don't know what you're walking into.
Absolutely. And then you combine that with a traffic stop, which is another one of the most dangerous times for a police officer. And you just have a whole mess. But Brian, in my opinion, I was married to a man just like him once. And he is someone that you can look at him, and I think a lot of people that don't understand the mental health components can look at him and relate to him, because he seems like just an ordinary person. You know, he's got the all-American boy looks, the story, you know. I think a lot of people can relate to him and see themselves in him.
And let me interrupt just for a minute, because you're exactly right. So let's look at some other cases of the all-American male, all-American.
Oh gosh, Scott Peterson.
Yep, Barry Morphew, O.J. Simpson, Chris Watts. I mean, there's too many to name.
Yes,
Drew Peterson. I mean, and he was a police officer. So I mean, by now, are the eyes not open enough? Are they not peeled enough for officers to say, look, I don't care how nice the house is. I don't care what they have going on. I see fresh bruises on her, and she can't fight back against him, whether she started or not. Something's going to have to be done in this situation, because
Absolutely.
these situations escalate.
Absolutely. He said it a million times. She's 110 pounds soaking wet. You know,
And again, mind you that the cop never even asked Brian about the injuries on Gabby. And Gabby told him it, you know, he dropped the ball. He never said a damn word after that at all about it.
Right. Well, he asked her, did he hit you? And she said, well, not really. He didn't really punch me.
Because she was afraid to be left alone with him, because she knew that was going to happen.
Exactly. Because when an arrest happens, it's literally a 24-hour hold and then they're out. Even if
Utah
there
zero
is
tolerance, I'm sure they are.
Yeah, definitely. There's zero tolerance. But I think that they saw that in their minds, it was a mutual combat situation. And they really did not want to take her to jail. And then the icing on the cake for them was him saying, well, can I just go to jail, you know, in her place? And then they're thinking, oh, this dude really loves her. You know, he is so manipulative. And that's what I was.
How can they say it was a mutual fight when they didn't really even investigate it at all?
No, they didn't.
How can
But
they even assume that? Don't assume that. It was their duty to investigate and investigate all of it. And
Oh, I
that's
agree
where
with
that
you.
department.
I agree with you. And what I'm saying is on a surface level. On a surface level, because they didn't dig any deeper, and they should have. And that's where
Yeah,
the
and now
training comes in.
are they looking into that now? It wasn't
Oh,
in
I'm
your this
sure they
recent news
are.
that they're looking into.
I'm sure
It's a
they are
cover your
because,
ass moment.
well, they're definitely going to do that too. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that's one of the things. They will definitely do that too. But, the chief of police who he was talking to on the phone, did you guys see that in the body cam footage when he called his supervisor? Well, that was the chief of police, because that's going to be his next supervisor, next up. There's a chain of command. And the chief of police would have been over him. So that would have been his supervisor.
And that's normally how
So
it
are you
goes.
saying that?
Right.
So are you saying the
And
chief of police is the one who told them to not make any arrests and just separate them?
No, he's the
well,
one held accountable because he's the top rung on the ladder, and that's his force.
right. And he
Oh,
just took a
no. I just what you
he
just said.
just
I
took a
thought you
leave of
meant it as
absence,
if
if
the
that
chief.
if that tells you anything. And they're not saying why. He said in the papers, it came out in the papers, a story a couple of days ago, that he had taken a leave of absence. Well, that seems like that speaks volumes to me.
Yeah,
Because
I
if
mean, but
he's not,
he can't handle any more phone calls, and he's like, it's better for me
exactly
to be home.
If he's out of the
Hang on one
office,
second. I want
nobody
you.
can get a hold of him.
I want to address a comment real
Well,
quick.
here's the other. Go ahead.
It says, Prairie writes the story. Welcome. I will not say anything this time, but last time I got placed in a timeout, I warned y'all the sister is involved. Well, we welcome other opinions. How do you think the sister is involved when she wasn't in Wyoming? If you mean in hiding Brian, as of today, I agree, because she denied seeing him.
Yeah.
And we know that she did now. Brian Eaton reported it.
Yeah, true that. That's the truth right there.
Yeah, and she was on the news. Oh, I wish I could talk to my brother. I wish that I could talk to him. Yeah, they had fights, but it wasn't really that bad. Bull crap. His whole family knew what kind of person he was.
Well, yeah, she lived there. I mean, and now that we go back to the sister's TikTok or whatever she did, and she said, oh, it wasn't unlikely for them to fight like that. Everyone protected baby boy. Hang on, Shannon, unmute your mic. You're connected now. The hell? Who's honking the horn? Shannon.
Sorry, that was my phone. It vibrated.
What's going on, my friend? Hang on. Hey, Okie Mama, what's up?
Hey, how you?
Good. We had 2 Okie Mamas up. I don't know where the other one went.
Uh-oh.
Oh, you got your YouTube app open, so it's going to have an echo. You got to close it.
Who?
You, baby.
Semi horn.
Me?
You, baby.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what's going on. So what big guys? What are you thinking here?
I'm thinking that the whole family's involved in the after fact. They weren't there, and they didn't, participate in whatever happened to Gabby. But after the fact, everyone in that family is protecting him. And that's a pattern.
Absolutely.
How was it like 2 years, almost 2 years that Gabby lived with them?
Yes.
Yes.
And if these
2.5.
Okay, 2.5. So would it be fair to say that these kids probably fought in the home they were living in at times?
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
So the parents had a very good idea of what the relationship was. We all as parents judge our kids when they, decide they're in love and want to get married, right? I mean, I know I did that with mine.
Yeah.
So, especially they're living under the roof. They're going to see a whole bunch of crap. you know.
And I think that this has been a
I only-
pattern his
they're
entire
just gonna-
life.
You're right.
Well, you know, the thing is, what bothers me, these parents, they're just like pleading the fifth. Pleading the fifth for what? Why the hell are you pleading the fifth? Why the hell are you
Because they
not
have
going outside
always
and talking
protected
out more?
him.
But why are they not saying to the media, hey,
How
Brian,
you?
get
Can you
your
hear me?
ass home? Why are they not saying that? Why have they not said a word just to their son? That's all they got to say. Brian, come home. How can
I think they know
attorney not
exactly
allow
where
them
he's
to do
at.
that?
I think that they know exactly where he's at. I don't think that they have to.
And
No. Or they know
And
that
that's
he's
why
being
I asked-
protected enough. He's going to be moved somewhere safer and safer
Oh,
and
yeah.
safer and safer. They're not worried about him. If they were worried when Dog the Bounty Hunter came, they wouldn't have called 911. They would have been like, hey, come in. We really need to find our son.
Yes.
whole
They're
missing-
not worried about him at all.
This whole missing persons report was bullshit. They knew he wasn't missing. They knew they were hiding him. What do you think? What, big eyes?
Yeah, I think it's definitely they were hiding him, and they've had so many things that they've done to throw people off. You know, like the parking his car there at the reserve, and then we have the camping trip at Fort DeSoto, and it's all diversion. I think that he's probably up there in the New York area. I don't
That's
think
where they know the most people that will protect him.
Yeah.
And Scott Dwyer, I put your comment up. Yeah, the police did favor him, and I agree with you, Merritt. Just like Chris Watts' parents, like Scott Peterson's parents, like Barry Morphew's mom. There's too many to even name. Too many to even name.
Right.
Where, I mean, they'll actually blame the victim. I mean, God forbid the Laundrie family, dad, mom, sister. Gabby was found dead in Wyoming. You want to keep moving him around? You know, that's your oven in hell, not mine. But it's going to be sorted out, and you're not going to like when it's done.
Yeah.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
You know,
Okay. I
they
didn't
were
want to
so
interrupt, but
accepting of Gabby. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead and finish your thought, and I'll wait till y'all get done.
I was just gonna say the Laundries were so accepting of Gabby becoming their daughter-in-law, but yet they let her die, their son go missing. They have to hear about their future daughter-in-law's funeral. They have nothing to say to her family. How much more sick of an individual can you be? This can't just be about legal shit. It can't be. Is this the way these people are?
I think they've covered for him for years, and I think a lot of things are going to come out that he has had other violent tendencies, and they have covered for him for years.
Yes, that's true.
I totally agree.
It does every
Yeah,
time. There's
something's
always an ex that comes out, a friend. We've seen it in so many other cases. You know, there's always the background story is not the fight in Moab, him flying back. It's not the month of August. It went way further back.
Yes.
And here's a good point. Angela says, Brian's mom may be jealous of Gabby, who knows what happened behind doors. And she could have been jealous because Gabby's taken her place and she's always been the mama. You know, we have a daughter for life and, you know, a son till he takes a wife. There's a lot of things they could have been resentful of her.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And again, these are all opinions. We don't know. Hey, Georgia Peach, did you get your mic connected?
Yes, y'all can hear me, I think, now.
Yes, perfect.
This is the first time I've done this, so bear with me.
All right.
I wanted to say this. I think I have kind of some personal experience, obviously not to the level Gabby did, but just some insight. Take it for what it's worth. My heart breaks for her. I have followed this case nonstop. I was married to a minister, and yeah, it was really, really bad. I had a butcher knife pulled on me. I had a gun pulled on me. I was told and threatened to be beaten to death, and I wasn't working. So for me to have exposed him, and we had a young child, And in that sense, I can relate because here they were living this van life. She didn't have any income. So you do protect them longer because of that very thing. And I remember we went to visit my parents. I'm from Georgia. And he literally ripped the pocket off my pajama shirt. My mother sewed it on the next day. And I finally got to the point I told my parents, I said, if I come up dead, he's responsible. And needless to say, they were terrified for me. But being a minister's wife and walking out on that it's just a tough situation. So I just have so much compassion and empathy for her because I've lived that life. Now, the difference is he never put any marks on me.
Yeah.
But finally, one day, the final straw, we were in a car wreck, which he caused because he was in a rage. And I remember at that point telling the police why we had the accident, because he was triggered because we went in a convenience store and I told a lady that she was pretty. And that literally sent him in a rage. Like that I was a lesbian for acknowledging someone else was attractive. So I told the police that. Do you think they did anything to him that they're
no?
Not being a minister, probably not. I mean, say no more. But I'm very sorry that happened to you. By the way, guys, this is Georgia Peach. This isn't Shannon Georgia Peach.
No, my name is Christy, but like I said, I just set it up, so I can change that if somebody else has a
no
similar.
Because I thought, well, hi, Shannon, and I just make sure they know it's not Shannon.
And in this case, and where I may have a different opinion than most people, I think that the cam footage that just came out, you know, the officer said she was such a sweetheart. I think he kind of did that trying to protect her because he knew that she was in a vulnerable place and he didn't want it to go on her record.
Oh, yeah.
But at the end of the day, yeah, something should have happened there because if they had both been arrested, maybe that would have been enough to finally separate them. I never called the police because who would have believed me? He was a minister.
Yeah. I worked with the police.
And let's think about this. Let's think about this, okay? Just throwing it out there. Wouldn't the police confronting him, been enough to stop it in their tracks? These aren't kids that have ever been confronted by the police before. What do you think, What Big Eyes? Wouldn't that have scared them enough, or at least him, to be like, whoa, I better take a few steps back? What do you think?
Yeah, maybe till the next time.
Or make you more mad. Like I said, it's just throwing that out there for discussion. Because I saw it mentioned in chat.
And the only reason I got out was I packed a bag for me and my daughter, hid it in the closet, and literally fled 2 states to get away from him without him knowing. That's probably the only reason I'm alive right now.
Yeah, I know what you mean, hon. I've been in that situation, and I just went to work one day, and I didn't go back home.
Well, I think there's way, way, way too many people that share the story. And when you have a safety plan to get away from your partner, it's gone way too far.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? You're going to take your kids and go to a shelter away from your house and everything like that if they won't remove the abuser? What are you going to do?
Well, it can be done. You know, it can be done if you're determined enough. And if it's your home, you can get your home back. You can get your home back. The most important thing is to get you and your children to safety first, and then go through the legal processes and get your place back if that's what you want to do.
Oh, absolutely. But when you've been beat down for so damn long, it takes a lot to get that nerve. And what's going to give you the nerve to get away? That's another factor of it. When you've been told you're a nothing person, I've got the money, I've got the keys, I don't need you, you need me. You know, when that is put in there over and over and over, you know, you're worthless, you're a piece of shit. You know, you bring up one thing after another. The victims believe it.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to have outreach for these people who don't have a job and that are, you know, the stay-at-home mom that's trapped. We have to be able to help these people.
I agree. And on that note, guys, I'm going to close this down. We will be back on Monday. Hope everyone comes back. Please, Shelby, I'm happy for you too. I am very happy for you. Welcome to the channel. And you're right, Scott. I've been seeing a lot of your comments, and you're exactly right. If you guys could, 1 second. I don't know what that means. Sorry, I was just catching up on a couple comments I had missed. But if anybody wants to join the Discord and chat with us, check the About tab, send an email, and I'll get you, somebody will get you the link to Discord, and we can chat when we're not on a live. Sub the channel, hit the bell, and that way you get notified and you can come in and chat with us anytime. We welcome other opinions. We can go back and forth. We can agree to disagree and be friends at the end of the day. So I hope everyone has a great weekend, whatever you have going on. And best chat. We have a great community. And thank you, Merritt. And love to you all. We will see you guys on Monday. Have a great one. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good weekend.